It is Monday, March 9th. The clocks have moved forward. And
oh, gosh, yeah.
Behind the Table moves forward as well with the lovely, the amazing Sara Haines.
Thank you, Brian.
You've got 3 young children still. Do they have an effect of daylight savings?
I'm sure, but it's crazy. Nighttime and sleep are crazy now anyway.
Right.
What's 1 hour?
Oh, it's a lot.
Give them 2. It's fine.
It's a lot. But I'm excited because I get very depressed when it's night at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I feel like we're through it now and good things are going to start happening.
It's a good sign. It's more reliable than the groundhog. So, like, I need the day to start feeling
Exactly. Let me tell you, if I ever see that groundhog in person.
Puxatawny Phil?
Oh, I'm taking him out. I am taking him out. All right. So it's a new week. Another guest co-host filling in for our departed but missed Alyssa Farah Griffin, soon to return. But today we had Sheryl Underwood on the show. As I've been going around saying, this is very exciting for me because there's nothing I love more than a crossover.
Yes.
I like,
you do love a crossover.
I love a crossover. I love when, like, the Jetsons met the Flintstones. I love when multiverses happen and people come from different realities.
Like the Descendants and the Zombies?
Exactly. Descendants, Zombies. I like it when, like, on Grey's Anatomy and Private Practice, they'd come over. On Law and Order, when they'd come over from the different Law and Orders into the same thing. And today we had The Talk Meets The View. This is pretty fun.
Yeah, and you can tell she's a pro. Like, she stepped in there and she's like, you guys just let me know when I need. I said, the benefit of having you is you absolutely know what you're doing. And
she was great.
Was lovely.
Yeah, she was lovely. She was great. I think their show was run differently than our show is.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a learning curve, but she walked in like she's been doing this forever.
Which is always a fun thing to experience when you go to a place and you think, oh, these two things are similar. And then you watch how things run, and sometimes it's very different. I need to ask her about that because I didn't get into that with her.
It's funny, Joy's been talking about going to London at some point in the spring or the summer and being on Loose Women, which is their version of The View, which I think is different, but I'm curious to get a review from...
Maybe looser.
Yes, every once in a while. Well, I don't know, you guys are pretty
We're
loose.
also a table of loose women.
Yeah.
We just did.
You're
we
pretty
were
loose.
more creative with our title.
Speaking of Alyssa, have you spoken to her?
Yeah, I was just texting with her this morning. Having known what it feels like to leave and have a magical moment of a baby, but that struggle of leaving work, coming back, like, I'm deeply in touch with how many times, how much it means to remind someone, like, we feel your absence all the time.
I've been trying to do that too. She's been watching the show. I don't think she's listening to the podcast.
I didn't watch. Whenever I'm gone, no matter what the occasion is, I never watch because it's like one day where you can just, like, cleanse.
Mm-hmm. Most of the hosts don't watch the show when they're not here. I have to laugh because Joy says she doesn't watch, but then sends...
Oh, she sends notes.
Scathing notes every day she's not here about what we're talking about, what we should have talked about, what that's the other thing. Alyssa has been sending lovely notes. She thinks the shows have been terrific, and she's very impressed by the production that she doesn't normally see when you're sitting at the table. So
she writes, it's funny, she's so positive because she'll write, you just made a really great point. And I'm like, Alyssa, I love you so. It's so sweet that she does that. But
it's great.
When I said this before guest hosts started coming, it's fun because it's like a family dinner where someone's bringing someone that you're not used to talking to. So there's all kinds of fun in that too. But you just, when you're so used to seeing someone all the time, not just the work part, just the everyday, seeing them here, how you doing, how's life, how are the dogs, you just miss them.
Absolutely.
Because I know her hands are tied and she's busy, but she always gets back to me when I write, and I just want her to know, I couldn't say it enough, that everyone misses her, but I really miss her.
No, definitely. And she misses being here too. I think she's having a great time with the baby.
I know.
But I think she's going to be back sooner than later. So that'll be nice too. So best of both worlds. All right. Speaking of guest co-hosts, this was your first time not meeting, but spending a great deal of time with Elisabeth Hasselbeck.
Yes.
Because you had met her before, despite what you said on the show.
What? I swear, I'm not this crazy. But someone played a clip and I was like, shoot. But you know what it was? It was the difference between spending time backstage with someone. When you've been around our offices and in our meetings, I will know who you are.
Right.
And I think she was here, but I think it was a one-day.
It was a one-day appearance. No, I understand completely how that happens.
But you're going to tease me anyway.
Yeah, well, we do 200 some odd episodes a year, and it keeps going and going. She is one of the most iconic hosts of The View of all time.
And I knew that because I was a fan of the show.
Yeah, you don't remember meeting her, but that's fine. In any case, you spent a lot of time with her last week. You certainly know her now. What did you think? How'd it go? It was very controversial in the View fanosphere.
I just felt like I said to Whoopi after the first day, because Whoopi had worked with her, I said it felt like she just dropped back down, like she was so comfortable. You can tell she was one of the OGs. She just dropped in, and did her thing. I think it was like you can tell that people that have done this before,
right?
Because it's not an easy task to sit at a table with people that not only do the job every day, but you're sitting with Whoopi Goldberg, you're sitting with Joy Behar, iconic to this brand. So when you have an Elisabeth Hasselbeck or a Sheryl Underwood, they drop in and they just do their thing. Mm-hmm. Other people are great to have, but I do think they're up against a harder challenge coming in for a couple of days and trying to find their way.
Absolutely. No, it was interesting. And, and listen, it's not every day we have someone who's a big fan of President Trump, and having someone here for the week, and Savannah Chrisley the week before or 2 weeks before. It's been an interesting conversation starter.
Well, it leaves room to kind of explore some things, because to be a fan of President Trump is a new length I'm not used to, because I know some old school conservatives, and that's how I grew up, with a lot of conservatives in my family. Mm-hmm. So old or neocon Republicans, whatever they're called, like I know those beliefs. And so each one of these people were, when it got too Trump fanny, it loses me. But when it's a conservative idea that I may actually, that's why I kind of straddle. There are issues I'm a little more conservative on,
right,
and then issues I'm not at all. It was nice because it gives a door to come in and push back a little, because I don't necessarily see the pro-Trump angle.
Right.
Just in Trump himself.
Right. So it gave you a little bit of
gave me some wiggle room, because I could see some points they were making that was like, I see that part. Ooh, you lose me there. It just gave some nuance.
We talked about Iran today, and it was interesting to hear from Sheryl, because she does have a perspective that no one at the table has right now. She served in the military.
Yeah.
And her perspective is unique because of that. You said that you made some interesting points today, I thought. You said that Americans have fatigue with issues like this in general. Tell me what that means.
So there are two things. I think, having lived through the Iraq War and coming out of Afghanistan, we've seen that you can have a great idea. Like, we want to help in Iran specifically, like the oppressed people. And when you talk to someone from Venezuela now or Iran, we've had them in our audience, and they've said there's this bit of hope, lingering hope, with the move that the U.S. made in both of these countries. But I think the scary thing is you just never know what happens next. And the bottom line is, whenever there's a conflict, people are going to die. And there's no way to lighten that. There's no way to stomach that. It's hard. And I think there are two things. We've got the fatigue of witnessing that there was no exit plan in Iraq, and that became more clear as time went on. And no one wants to send anybody's sons or daughters, Americans or other country, where you're sending people in and you have no exit plan. That's hard. That's the fear. But then the second part is, it's a presidency of Donald Trump.
Right.
So it is really next to impossible, with the fog and murkiness of how he rules was the word I was about to say, but that's a bit Freudian, but maybe true. The way he is his presidency, I think anything with his name on it leaves a stink and a stain right out of the gates. So it's hard to see clearly when something might be right.
It's interesting, though, because you've started this conversation about what's happening there, giving benefit of the doubt that others at the table haven't been willing to give.
Well, because this Iran and the issues with Iran didn't start under Donald Trump. This is, as we've talked, like decades old.
Yeah, these are people. This is a country that has hurt Americans and
hurt
leadership
Americans,
that has
and
hurt
presidents
Americans.
Across administrations have had to deal with Iran on different levels. And that's when I go from, as someone who isn't independent, and I remind people of that, because I don't feel any loyalty or need to side with one place or the other. I've always kind of let the fact that the military, I trust the military. Or I know there's a commander-in-chief, which is the president, but generals, to become a general, you have to have served in the military for 20, 30 years. This is your career. This is what you do. It seems like people that enter some of these rooms end up aligning regardless of the party they're a part of. I remember Hillary Clinton coming here during a commercial, and we were talking about some things happening in Israel with Iran, all this stuff. And what she said, I mean, she was in the rooms where all that national security is. I'm not privy to that,
right,
but I do find it interesting that you take a Hillary, not on this specific right now, but across the boards on a macro level, you take a Hillary Clinton, you take a Barack Obama, you take a George W. Bush, you take a Trump, and they all agree on something. That's telling me not like, how dare you? It's more like, what don't we know?
Right. Iran is a problem.
Yes. And so I do, when it comes to these things, tend to trust the military. And I remember when I saw that article about the open letter from 47, I think it was, retired generals. These aren't just retired military, they're retired generals. And they don't all work for Donald Trump. These aren't people that are shills. We've watched generals quit when President Trump was bombing the boats outside of Venezuela. There was a military leader that ended up saying, I can't do this, and leaving, and another person came in. But when it comes to these generals, I typically do trust them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in these rooms. I'm watching people of both administrations align on some of these issues and the threat that is there. And I do concede a certain amount of trust that this was the right move with the fears everyone has, which is, what does this mean for this country? First and foremost, in lives lost. What does it mean economically? What does it mean geopolitically? All those things matter. And I don't know. I'm also crossing my fingers, hoping, reading the headlines saying, right, oh my gosh, I hope this is going to be okay.
Well, one of the things that I think comes part and parcel with you being an independent is the idea that you do believe that good things can occur from anywhere here.
Yeah.
And are hopeful that they will.
Yeah, I like to say I call them like I see them. Mm-hmm. I will give credit where it's due. And I don't feel any loyalty to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone. No loyalty.
The show and
no one.
Your executive producer.
Like I said, I'm an independent in all walks of my life. To no one.
All right, thank you, Benedict Haynes.
Yes.
All right, let's move on. Today we had some great guests. We had Viola Davis and
her.
James
Every
Patterson.
Time she's here, I feel like I went to church.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
And they've written a novel together.
Yeah.
And have you ever thought about writing a book or a memoir? I know you've done some children's work, but what about?
You know, it's funny. Children's book I would love to do. A memoir, other than like a independently published one that my kids could have just as record, that would be great. I don't know. I don't ever feel I have something so impressive to say. I think people invested in my life story would love to hear from me.
Right.
For your generations to come, your grandkids, that kind of thing. But when it comes to the general public saying, go buy this book, part of me is like, we're not there yet.
You've got some tales to tell, I'm sure.
Oh, like tales to tell. But I mean, I don't know. That doesn't pop up in my head a lot.
Octopus. The Sara Haines story.
Yeah.
I think I'd watch it or read it at least. All right. Well, there was one thing that Viola said today that really touched me. She said, she talked about her hero's journey.
Yeah.
And she said she feels now that even if she doesn't have didn't have all the awards, because she has all the awards, her and Whoopi, she knows that she's enough. Now, this is, it's a little bit of that imposter syndrome thing we've talked about before. You've dealt with that. I think everyone at the table besides Whoopi and Sunny have dealt with that.
Yeah.
Or Joy. Actually, maybe it's just you.
Definitely not Anna either.
No, you and Alyssa have dealt with imposter syndrome. Do you still feel like you struggle with not feeling like you're enough? You kind of just said it just now. You don't feel like you're have the story to tell with the memoir. I mean,
yeah. Well, it's more existential. That hit me when she said that part 2 today, because she said, I realized without any of that, I'm enough. And I thought, that is the goal. Like, I hope in life I ever feel enough. So much of what I wrap myself and my worth in are those hats I wear. Not necessarily awards, but the jobs I've had, having, even being a mom, being a wife, like so much of it is like, I wish I could look in the mirror and say, without anything, I'm worthy. And I think that feels like such a spiritual journey that I hope I get to. But hearing her say it was like, whoa, good. Wow. Good for you. Like, I hope I feel that someday. I don't think I'm there yet.
It's interesting. I mean, do you want, so you're a dedicated mother. Do you want your children to grow up feeling that kind of doubt because it is kind of healthy too? Or do you feel like you prefer them to be the model of, I don't know what imposter syndrome is. I have complete faith in myself and I believe in myself. Because I think there's a certain healthiness in questioning.
In life.
Yeah, a little neurosis is good for you, I think.
Yeah, in life, the part that matters most, I hope they realize, and I would tell this to young people, but I tell it to adults, like, there is a power in understanding you're literally the only one in the world. Like, you were the only one in the world who can be Brian Teta. Like, there's something powerful that I love pumping it into young people. Like, every freckle, every hair, like, you are everything. And I believe my kids are the best way to find it in yourself. Is sometimes I look at my kids and each one, I'm like, you are so more than enough. This is amazing. I think imposter syndrome can be healthy when it comes to, if you care about things and want things in life, achievements, goals, you better question whether you can do it, or you're probably not going to get there a lot.
Yeah. I mean, there is like a blind confidence is a powerful thing, though. People stumble into things with that in a way that maybe they wouldn't have been able to get there if they questioned it too much.
Yeah. But there's also like, I don't know. I think I hope along the way that as they achieve things, they probably will question whether they're enough for what they're achieving. Mm-hmm. That part I don't mind. It's their worth in the world. Like, I deeply see their worth in the world.
Well, you want them to feel that.
Anything.
Yes,
that
of course.
part I'm like, because that's kind of what I felt from Viola Davis when she said that.
Mm-hmm.
She said, absent of all of this,
it's not
I am
professional
enough.
Success.
No, it was that.
Who she is.
I almost think that's the harder thing to come to terms with.
I think so too. Yeah,
you know?
I think so too. All right, we had Christina Applegate on the show this last week,
her.
and I know you're a super fan.
Yeah.
I am too. But you even drink out of a mug that has her picture on it.
I'm right on top of that, Rose. Yes.
That's a quote from "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead."
Which Max and I fought over because I really want to show the kids, and so we were looking at it, and he's a little wary because he pulls out the sports movies that
mm-hmm.
like, you know, that are like have a really great lesson at the end, and I'm like, the comedies matter too, Max.
They do,
like,
of course they do. They're very
there's
important.
There's a lesson in this, but we were talking about Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I grew up on Married with Children, mm-hmm. even Up All Night, which was I think only ran for one season or two.
I remember how excited you were when that came out.
Loved that. She just
Anchorman.
And, oh God, I always forget Anchorman. Anchorman's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Anchorman, like, and what's funny is hearing her describe her experience there because she's such a genius in that film, and then to hear her say, I looked at the men who are into comedy and improv, and I said, how do I do? And I thought, no.
Yeah, she more than held her own.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Like she was, but she's just phenomenal. And I say I grew up with her because it's not like I'm like really young saying, oh my gosh, I remember. I literally felt like I was her age-ish all along, and watching her and all the work she did. She just brought so much laughter into my life. And that is, as I always say, the salve of the pains of life. That
her memoir is an incredible story, and it really, her life had hardships that people didn't know about.
I had zero idea of so much of that.
She's been through so much, and she, you know, I think we said it on the show too. It's really a story of whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I mean, because her strength is not to be believed. Her accomplishments are not to be believed. But
and the caveat there would also be, and it's okay if you're not strong.
Yeah, that too.
Because I felt like that was one of the really gleaming messages was it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, but she's actually managed to have a really great life. She's still really funny. She can laugh at what she's going through now, which is MS, which is so hard. What was your takeaway from her?
I think one, it was the reminder that, you know, the lessons I learned in her book of all the things she'd been through. It's the reminder that, and we hear it all the time, it's just that everyone has something they're going through. Everyone has lots of somethings they're going through. And honestly, you usually don't know about it. Because rarely when you're struggling with something, for me personally, do I look to group sharing when it comes to resolving it. Usually I talk about it after I've resolved it. So I have a clarity of mind and a strength to talk about it. Looking at her life, I watched all her high points. I watched, you know, Married with Children. I'm watching it because it makes me laugh, and the whole anti-hero theme that was kind of new to TV. And meanwhile, that was her safe place and home.
Yeah.
And it just changes how you look at everything. And
that was the most interesting thing for me, that she talked about how on set was where she felt safe. Yeah. On set was her, you know,
she said, I had
safe
parents.
Place. Yeah.
You know, because her mom dealt with addiction. And so it just was, it is that pause, that those sayings about be kind to everyone because you never know what they're going through, that even the most shiny, sparkling among us are going through things.
One story we didn't get to is apparently she ditched Brad Pitt at the MTV Movie Awards.
I would have ditched
seen that
him
story?
too.
Yeah, she ditched him for Sebastian Bach. You don't remember him?
Well, I know the pianist.
No, this is... No, the rocker.
He was alive during the...
Yeah,
that's 80s, a comeback story.
The 80s rocker. She ditched him at the MTV Awards. He had to drive her mother home, and hated her for years afterwards.
Okay, so no shade, because I actually I've never met Brad Pitt, but I need someone really interesting that's going to have me laughing, and to me, Christina Applegate's that. So how do you match her?
Well, apparently with Sebastian Bach. Who knew?
I mean, I can only think of the composer.
Yeah, okay. You don't remember Skid Row?
Why do you say Sebastian Bach?
No, that's his name. Sebastian Bach.
Oh, is Skid
Yeah, is the lead singer of Skid Row.
It's like they don't even sound the same. Where is
God.
he? Okay, it's a Monday. Okay.
All right. The Oscars are this weekend.
Yeah.
Very exciting, always this time of year. And I always think of Whoopi when she won her Oscar in 1991 for Ghost. Let's take a look at her speech.
Ever since I was a little kid, I've wanted this. You don't know. My brother's sitting there, he says, thank God we don't have to listen to anymore. You can do it now. My mom's home, everybody's watching. I want to thank everybody who makes movies. I come from New York. As a little kid, I lived in the projects. And you're the people I watched. You're the people made me want to be an actor. I'm so proud to be here. I'm proud to be an actor. And I'm going to keep on acting. And thank you so much.
I love that speech.
That's great. It's a great speech. I remember watching it, actually. Do you?
No, I don't remember watching it. I feel like I've seen it back so many times now.
Yeah.
But you know what? I just said to Whoopi something interesting today. We were talking about another celebrity topic, and I said there was a generation of people like Whoopi who they threw everything at their dream because, as she said, she didn't come from much. It brought her so much joy. She went so hard for it. Now we're seeing this generation of people where the speeches can't honestly say those things. Like, I watched you, I wanted to be you, because so many people are coming from, you know, the road isn't quite as hard. They're in these art schools, then they graduate to the next one, and then they get their auditions, and then it's not the people that, and that's a generational thing, I think, but I loved those speeches for those moments when people, you could see they lost all control of emotion, and the people they thank, the people they love, not like the agents and stuff, but when they say something personal to a child or a parent, or I lose it. I wait for the end of every speech, and that's the part that gets me.
Well, knowing Whoopi like we do, I think it's fair to say that probably was not scripted. It was probably not something she had spent a ton of time thinking about, because I don't think she thought about winning in that moment.
No, because that tracks that she's like, I'm good. And that was the most honest,
absolutely
beautiful.
Yeah.
So knowing her, she meant every friggin' word of that. That's
absolutely. Exactly. No, I love talking to her about who she was a fan of, and sometimes it's the same people I was a fan of and things like that. But she fans out on people, which is pretty incredible, given how many people have sat in our table and fanned out over her.
And just see, movies specifically. So everyone has their art form. Some people find it at art museums. Max, I would say, finds it deeply in lyrics of music. I always found it at the movies. It was always leaving a movie theater that I even will quote, not just comedies, which usually come in handy with you, but when I see something and a scene captured the feeling, I'll say, oh my gosh, it reminds me of in this, like, it's how I interpreted the world was through movies. So I just am such a fan. I think that's why watching the Oscars was always so fun. I was never going to be in those rooms, but watching people come up and say the same thing, I'm like, wait, they felt the same way we did.
Was there one person you looked up to when you were a kid like that? Was there one person who you idolized?
Oh, there were so many. I went through a deep Al Pacino phase, but that was The Godfather and like Scarface and things like that. Because I went through a mafia phase. I love Andy Garcia. I'm
still going through that. Yeah.
I also love Naomi Watts. It wasn't when I was young though. It was more when I was like high school, college, where I started to deeply understand the power that these were actors that were leaving this mark on me. It wasn't their real life.
Right.
I'm trying to think of some women that did that too. Oh, Deborah Winger. That would be one. Shirley MacLaine is one. So many to name. I mean, like, but those would be some that jump out right away. Oh, Kate Winslet would be one. Kate Winslet would be one for like The Spotless Mind. That one. Mark Ruffalo.
So the Oscars for me, as even in my youth, I enjoyed doing pools with my friends and getting everyone's picks in, and I was always very proud of my ability to pick winners on those things. And I would sit.
Did you do a good job?
Oh yeah, huge. But
that's how I paid for my kids' college was.
But I followed the Oscars like I follow sports. I was so excited about it. I was always like, the nominations were a big deal for me. Watching that night was a big deal for me. It was so exciting, and I still, to this day, I'm a little less involved as I used to be as a kid growing up. And I've gotten to go to so many.
because your sports betting has taken over your life.
A little bit. But I've also gotten to go to a lot of other awards and things like that, award shows and places like that. And I have never been to the Oscars. And part of me doesn't even want to go.
I was
feel
about
like
to say, I've never been to the Oscar. I've been to the Oscars.
You've been to the Oscars?
No, I know. I didn't go in, though. I
you went with Elisabeth Hasselbeck as your date.
Yes. I was. No, as I was saying that, I was like, no, Sarah, that was the Oscars. You worked that.
There's going to be video of you outside on the red carpet.
I'm turning into Joy.
Yeah. No, I've also worked adjacent to the Oscars, but I've never actually been in the room for it. And that's one of the last bucket list things I think I have. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining me today, Sarah. Tomorrow, I'll be back with Joy Behar. Anything can happen.
Yes, Joy.
See you tomorrow.